If you mention the Vietnam War, many people think of helicopters, jungles, and battles. But today, I want to take you into a different room, a place with no charging cries, no battle maps, only stretchers, bandages, the smell of antiseptic, and decisions that can haunt someone for the rest of their life. They call it triage. What is triage? Simply put, when there are too many wounded and not enough doctors, nurses, or time, triage is the process of sorting and prioritizing patients. Who needs treatment immediately, who can wait, who has minor injuries, and who, in those conditions, is unlikely to survive. It sounds cold, but I want to be clear from the start. Triage isn't born from indifference. It exists because people still want to save lives, and they have to do it in a way that helps the greatest number survive. And this is what makes triage so painful. It's not just, who do we treat first to be fast, but sometimes who do we treat first so we don't lose even more. Picture a scene many American nurses have described: the thunder of helicopter blades over the landing zone, stretchers coming in non-stop, casualties arriving in waves. In those first moments, triage feels like a life-saving assembly line. See fast, decide fast, act fast. But then there are moments when the entire triage area suddenly goes quiet. Not because the work is done, but because everyone understands. We're choosing who gets a chance to live. Donna Rowe, an American nurse who worked in the triage area of a U.S. field hospital in Saigon, once said her job could be summed up in a single line: "My job was to keep them alive." And to keep them alive, she sometimes had to do something brutal to her own heart: push her feelings aside so she could follow the order of priority. In triage, the first to be treated are usually those who are critical but still salvageable: airway problems, severe bleeding, hemorrhagic shock. They're prioritized for bleeding control, breathing support, IV fluids, basic pain management, and then moved to resuscitation or the operating room. Those who are badly hurt but stable enough wait. The lightly wounded are grouped and treated later. Triage is the discipline of time, and sometimes that discipline is the only way to save the greatest number of lives. But war is never simple. There's one group no one wants to talk about, yet in scarcity, they're forced to. An American nurse named Donna Barbish, she was only 21 at the time, working at the 91st Evacuation Hospital in Chulai, recalled that sometimes as many as 50 casualties could arrive at once. And when resources weren't enough, they had to triage to figure out how many can we save. In waves like that, some cases were placed into a category called expectant, meaning their chances were faint, and under those conditions, they were unlikely to survive. Because if the entire team poured everything into one nearly impossible case, they could lose several others who still had a real chance. This is where triage breaks a person's emotions. You can be doing the medically correct thing and still feel shattered. No one goes into healthcare to learn how to leave someone behind, but triage forces you to choose through pain so that the many still have a chance. And there's a small detail from Donna Barbish's account that truly hit me. She said that after the patients who didn't make it, when they checked personal belongings, they often found family photos, small notes, messages tucked into a pocket. And those little things said so much about their lives. In that moment, a person is no longer just a casualty. They become a real life, someone with a name, a home, and someone waiting. Sometimes what breaks you isn't the blood. It's a crumpled photo in a pocket. I'm not telling this story to romanticize war. I'm telling it because it shows that triage, no matter how disciplined and clinical it has to be, is still powered by human compassion. Sometimes one small sign, one sentence, is enough to bring an entire team back to the reason they're there: to keep someone alive a little longer. And I want to close this video with one clear message. Triage is not about choosing who dies. Triage is about saving as many lives as possible when resources are limited. It is compassion under the discipline of time, caring deeply, but treating in the right order so more people can live. If you've ever thought war is measured only by victory or defeat, triage reminds us there's another measure: how many people were pulled back toward life by exhausted hands that still refuse to let go. And when you look at war through the eyes of nurses and doctors, you see a deeply human truth. In the middle of violence and chaos, there are still people who don't come to shoot. They come to bandage. They don't come to take lives. They come to save them. And perhaps that's what makes triage one of the quietest, yet heaviest parts of war. It isn't just medicine, but the place where compassion has to take the shape of a difficult decision. In the middle of chaos, there are still people who choose to stay beside life, even if sometimes all they can do is hold on to it for a few more minutes. If you'd like, in the next episode, I'll take this story into a more specific setting. Q 1968, where urban warfare made everything harder, from reaching the wounded to evacuation to triage itself. If you find this series meaningful, please hit subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And if you want me to go deeper on a topic, dust off MEDEVAC, field hospitals, or the story of a specific nurse, leave a comment below. Thank you for listening.